episode 4 today. So, what have we got? Barn doors, we're getting there. We are going to be covering a little bit today, including finishing off the outside with some boards, some baseboards, and some trims on either end of this main barn door that's had most of the repairs to this point. So there's that, and then the bit I've been looking forward to the most, sanding. So let's stop talking about it and start doing. So on with the job. So it's time to cut off that tongue all along there. I hear you asking, how do we do that? Well, let me show you. So with this bottom rail extension, like the one above, I've ran it through past the length of the last cladding board. Same as this one. So I'm just going to tack this in with some screws so I can go around the other side, mark where I need to cut it off. And then I can remove this, cut it off flush, and then put it back on, and it's all good. Let's have a look outside. See, it's running past. So I'll just mark that line. Now I can remove it and cut the excess off and then reinstall. That's it, rails on, done. Now it's time to get dusty. I cannot wait. So before we sand, I almost forgot, I've got to make the infill piece for here. So I'm going to span a piece from there and it's going to run to there, then a piece from there all the way to the bottom one, because this one is set back a little bit. So to do that, I'm just going to use this offcut that I've got from another length. So I'm just going to screw this to there, and the bottom straight on, kind of like that. And then from the inside, I can mark where I need to be so that effectively the pieces will span in between and in between. So I've just cut this little detail in the ends of these pieces that will span between here to fit around the small little bevel detail there. So, and that will just slot over the top like that and then fit up in the other end. I just got to screw it off through the face of this piece into there. And that's it, gang. The end capping is all on. I just had to cut this back a little bit and just so it ran past and flush on the outside face, and all done. And as you can see, blocks quite a bit of the weather or the wind, or closes the gap anyway. So yeah, all good in the hood. And there's the other side. Happy days. So now I've got this one to do on the other end of the door. Bit of cleanup, a few nails that have to come out. Yeah, a bit of cleanup in there. I promise I'll get to sanding. I'm not avoiding it, I swear to God. So the way I'm going to do this is measure the widest point of all those. So I'm just going to effectively cap this end to hide this groove on the last board here. So I'm just going to put a capping straight over the top of this whole end. So it's not going to run between here and here, there and there like the last one. It'll just go straight over the top, all the way to the top there, and it'll check around whatever it needs to check around to achieve the result. So let's measure up and go for it. It's so cold today. This wind chill factor's like absolutely insane. Anyway, just cut this end capping out of the probably the most bowed piece of timber. Like, look at that. It's like horrible. So yeah, to get it perfect was tricky, but I'm pretty sure we're getting there now. So just got to install. Job done, it's on. Checked around and it came up pretty good. So I've got two pieces of good news. That door's done. Other than sanding, it's done. The other piece of good news is I've finally been bothered to adjust my nail bag since it came the other week and put it on, which makes my life when working a lot easier. Anyway, there is a piece of bad news. I've got to do the other door now. So I'm thinking to repair that. These boards are pretty bad behind there, and these have to be changed anyway. But what I do know is that on this side, this board behind this plastic is in pretty good order. So if I just take these off, take those off, and then just block a piece in there to replace those and screw the new board, the new one of these boards, onto that backing board through to the other one on the other side, the other rail. That should do it, and then it'll all be covered and you will be none the wiser. So I think that might be the easiest, quickest, most efficient and best plan of attack here. So we have the main rotten pieces out. I'm going to keep this one because it's okay. The length of that board is 2580 from end to end. So I'm just going to cut one of those out of the big planks that I've got, put that on the bottom, and then put that one on the top, and that should all cover that. But I might have to block out in there a little bit with a couple of little blocks just to fill it out so it's flush with this, and then I can just screw straight through. Okay, here's where it's at. I've just set this existing board up level, just using that one which will go on top as a packer. So I've just got to screw this one in, take that out, sit it on top, and then screw that in as well. As you can see, I've put the block in here just to give me something to screw back to, and then that should be it. So we're done, it's good. See this here? You can see that up close. There's like a little overhang between that board and that board, which creates a small little drip line, which means once I finish off this section, which you'll see, water will run down and then drip straight off there, and it won't run into there to cause any damage to the cut edge of that board there. So yeah, it's all worked out quite nicely. Now I just finish the top off on that one and on that one, and we're done. Then sanding. So I've just hand cut some tri-quad molding and put it on there. So the idea is when the water runs down, it runs down and off. So I've got silicone behind there, and then I've just tacked it in with a few screws just to hold it in place until the glue dries. Speaking of glue, this is the silicone style stuff that I've used for it. So I've just sort of blocked up that gap with it, and then this molding will go straight over the top, and I'll screw that down as well until the glue dries. Now I know what you're thinking with this one. You're probably asking yourself, why didn't you just cut the bevel into that board? And the reason I didn't, because if I had have cut it into that, I would have lost 27 millimeters. I needed 27 millimeters further from the top of this board up to here to cover the rot on these, so I couldn't really afford to lose that distance, so hence why I just had to cut a separate piece and put it on. But yes, it would have been ideal to cut the bevel into that piece, so it was just all one piece. It would have been a lot neater and a lot less work, but either way it's done now, and I didn't lose any board, and I've covered up all the rot as well, so happy days. So I can't avoid this any longer. What time is it? It's sanding time. So my trusty belt sander that has helped me through so many jobs, this will probably be the biggest job that it'll ever do. It's just a trial. It's a trial to see how it goes. I'm just looking to get off the watermarks off the door, just so it looks better pretty much. So hopefully I've got 40 grit sanding belt in that. Hopefully that can just strip it back enough for what we need to get this job nice. What did I tell you? It's going to be dusty. Horrible. But it's coming off pretty good and blending in. Blending in. Let's keep on going. And half an hour later, this is where we are. But don't be deceived. No. So yeah, not fun. So I have nothing to say about how this is turning out, well, in terms of the state that the way I look right now, except I told you so. What I've done is I've had a bit of a change of weapon. So the new weapon is the Metabo Orbital Sander. And after the belt sander really strips it off, it just weighs a lot. It kicks up so much more dust, it seems. But yeah, all this has been, I reckon it's nearly been an hour now just to get it to there. And then what I did was just to do a bit of a test. I got this dark oak stain, and I just did, we've got, I don't know, 100 tubs of that just sitting up in the shed for God knows how many years. And I did a couple of test spots on the bits that haven't been sanded as opposed to the new ones. See how they dry, see how they look after they dry. And there's another one after, that's the old boards that have been sanded back from all the water stain. That's the new one. And there's the difference. So it looks pretty even, which is positive signs. So hopefully, yeah, after about 14 more years of doing this, we can actually get the stain on the doors. The worst part is I've got to do this side, I've got to do this side, and then I've got to do the other side of both of them. So yeah, I can't wait for that, you know. But let me know what you think in the comments, whether you like the stain, whether you think it'll look good at the end, whether you think I should keep going with this, or whether you have any other ideas as to what I might be able to do with speeding this process up. So I've got a belt sander tip. It's going to change your life. When you're using a belt sander, notice on the front there's this little knob. You may know this, you may not know this. I'm going to show you anyway. So when you turn the sander on, you'll notice that it might slide either one way to the left or one way to the right, and that's where you use this. So you can adjust the sander so it stays in the middle, as you're about to see. Where you want it is just right on the edge of that roller there. There's normally the sweet spot to have it. So yeah, hope that helps.